relax. Right, ladies and gents, start as we always do. Perfect posture, being as tall as possible. Just relaxing down with the shoulders, a little tuck of your bum, and a little brace through your core. And let's start by easing the shoulders off, bringing them forward, giving them a little roll back, and pulling the shoulder blades down. Just let your hands slide down towards the knees. And as the hands slide down, pull the crown of the head up so you get a nice stretch into the neck and across the top of the shoulders. When you're ready, make the circles bigger. Elbows coming up and over. And trying to pull the elbows into your rib cage. So it's like you squeeze your armpits close with the elbows bent. And that's just going to help to engage the muscles around your upper back and help to give a little bit more stability around your shoulders. So the in-breath with the lift and the out-breath to pull down. This time, let the arms just stay in line with your shoulders, palms face down, taking a step forward and then a step back, alternating from one foot to the other. When you step forward, back heel comes off the ground. Let all your weight shift forward into the front foot. And then as you step back, push off your front heel, just getting the feet back underneath your hips. A little breath in again as you come forward, and then breathing out to pull back. Once more on each foot. And then let's go out to the side with a twist. So a little step, a little turn, and a step back in. As you lift the hands, try and keep the shoulders down, and the hands just kind of level with your breastbone. When you stride across, keeping that left foot flat and pressed into the floor, so it helps keep your hips square to the front as you rotate through the chest. Again, keeping the shoulders relaxed as you lift the arms. Nice big breath in, and then breathe out as you pull back. One last time. And then hold. Right leg steps forward, left heel stays down, hands behind the back, and just now easing into your hamstrings. Before you tip forward, draw the shoulder blades together at the back. Keep the chin slightly nodded in. When you hinge forward, you're trying to keep that front leg straight, just slightly lifting your bottom up towards the ceiling. Breathing out with each tip. And again, as you tip forward, gently draw the belly in towards the spine, so it's keeping the back in neutral and allowing more stretch into the hamstrings. And just once more. And then we're going to bend the front knee, so the front knee just moves over the heel, and just wiggle your left foot a little further behind. Hinging forward from the hips, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then rotating your upper body from one side to the other. As the arm lifts, just think about squeezing the shoulder blade in, and then think about turning your rib cage. As you're turning through the chest and bringing rotation through the neck and the upper back, we also want to keep pushing our right knee slightly out towards the little toe, so it switches on the outer thigh, creates a little bit more stability through the legs, and then you can maybe turn a little bit further. And again, once more on each side. Keeping the back heel lifted, just bring your shoulders back above your hips and tuck your tailbone. Come down to a lunge and then circle the arms as you rise. So we're focused on bringing the stretch down the front of the left hip. A little tuck at the bottom, almost bringing your back shin parallel to the ground. Breathing in as you ease down, and then breathe out with the lift. Again, get the feel of pulling the shoulder blades down and pushing your head up towards the ceiling. Both knees again slightly open from the hips, so we're keeping the outer thigh muscles switched on and creating more stability around the pelvis. One last time. And then step back. Feet back underneath the hips. Hold it all to the left. Shoulders back. Lift the arms, palms down. Take a little, stepping forward, Stepping forward and then stepping back. So you can make your step a little bit bigger if you want to. And again, a big push of your weight forward and a strong push back, or just stay with a small step. Now each time when you push back, you want to drive your front heel into the ground. That's going to get your glutes working. You want to open the chest and squeeze the shoulder blades together. And just once more on each leg. bigger arms, holding with twist, stepping across, a little turn, and then stepping in. So when you step in, again, pull the head up, so you're making yourself as tall as possible every single time. When you turn the upper body, try to make sure that the right hip doesn't drop forward. So it helps again to press down through the right foot. Give your bottom that little extra squeeze before you turn. And still keeping both shoulders relaxed and down. And to use your right leg to pull yourself back in. And just once more here. As we come back into centre, step your left leg forward. So as you step the left leg forward, feet to hip distance, hands behind the back, roll back with the shoulders and hinge from your hips. So use the out breath as you tip. So it softly engages your core. That way we're not altering the position of the spine. All in a bum, just let the bottom gently lift up towards the ceiling. So each time you're trying to make the back of your left leg a little bit longer. Keep gently squeezing the front of your left thigh so it's a straight leg as you tip forwards. And one last time. Your right foot goes a little further back, front knee over the heel, and a little tip forwards. So you see how I've got that nice alignment through the spine, and then we start to rotate again through the upper body. Now if you softly draw your tailbone down towards your right heel, again that's going to help to lengthen the spine. It's going to help to bring more engagement into the core. And as we think about opening the knees just slightly from the hips, we'll help to switch on the outer thighs to keep the pelvis in place, and then see if that allows you to turn that little bit further. Keep squeezing the shoulder blade into the spine each time as you lift the arm. Your last one, and hold. Bend the back knee, tuck in the bottom, and then just ease into your lunge and pushing up through the crown of your head. Get the whole body working together now. Don't be tempted to tip forward through the spine. Think about the head being pulled up to the ceiling, even as you bend into the back knee. And even if it means you're not going as low into the legs, the more we keep posture and good alignment through the upper body, the more stretch and release we're going to find into the hip flexors. And once more here, and then I think we're good to go. Take a step in. Right, grab your weights. Starting with the right hand side with your feet narrow, we're going to come to a squat. So roll the shoulders back, stepping across to a squat, step together and curl. So step and squat, together and curl. Breathing in to the knees, breathe out, bring it to your collarbones. Now when the weight comes forward, keep that little squeeze between the shoulder blades, so it's keeping the alignment of the spine as we squat, and it's not letting the upper back round to lower the weight. Bend the knees. Sit back as deep as you can, and breathe in and out. And so you can take the squat just a little bit wider, making sure that you bend both knees evenly. Let's also get our inner thighs to work, so pull our feet together, chest high, breathing in deep, out with the rise. And just once more each side. Coming back to the right hand side, we hold. Take the weight into the left hand, just by your shoulder, and step the feet wide. Into a squat, and a little tip to the side. So weight comes to the shoulder. Keep the right arm open. That helps you to counterbalance as you tip. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out the tip. Keeping your left knee pointing forwards as your leg lifts. Then you might find you can tip a little further without falling over, or you can just tap the foot to the side if you prefer. Drive down through the right heel, squeeze the bottom to help with your balance here, and twice more. In as you sit down, out on the lift, and hold. Keep the weight here. Take your left leg back, And from here we're going to tip forwards, extend the arm behind and come back up tall. So work into the triceps as we tip forward, squeeze into the back of the arm. Now you can step your foot right back underneath your hip and come up tall, or you can stay slightly forwards and let the foot come about halfway in with balance. Now if it feels okay, you can also add in a knee lift. So it's still a hinge from the hips like we did for our hamstring stretch, pushing the bottom back, breathing as you reach, breathing out with the lift. Didn't lift that time. So brace your core as you lift. That helps. 2 more here before I fall over. And your last one. Stepping the foot down and stepping out wide. Turn your right foot to the side, pull your left hip back, reach the knee, and then come to an upright row. So to the knee, and then to an upright row. So you're turning again with your chest and your rib cage, not just letting the shoulder drop down. So you're trying to keep the front of the ribs slightly lifted, keep this nice neutral position through the spine. When you bend your knee, don't let your knee go over your ankle, so it just stops over the heel, and a nice big strong pull back. And if you want to make it bigger, you can add in the arm lift. Just come into a slight diagonal, and the weight just comes almost in line with your shoulder. But each time when you pull the arm back, pull the shoulder blade in. So it keeps working to the back of the body, but at the same time keeps opening the front of the shoulder and the chest. And twice more here. As you breathe out, we'll brace through the core for the lift, and then bring the weight down. Come into centre. Try it again. So we're going to come back to the weight in the left hand. Right hand, sorry, doesn't help, does it? We're going to come back to our side lunge. No. So you're going to bring your weight into your left foot, weight to your shoulder, brain's not working, down to a squat, and then a little tip or a tap. So you can just tap the foot out. As you bring the weight down, turn your palm inwards, and then as you reach the arm up, turn it to the front. So it encourages that rotation movement through the shoulder joint, and that's to strengthen our rotator muscles around the shoulder. If you're feeling well balanced, maybe being a little bit more adventurous, but going slowly, so you really can control each part of the movement. Notice that when your right leg's lifting, your toes stay pointing forwards. Breathing in as you sit into the hips and the heels. Drive out your left heel. Try not to hit the ceiling. Last 2 here. Controlling it down. Last one. And then holding here. So from here, your right leg steps back, tricep extension, shoulders all the way above the hips, or a partial step in. And that's going to keep more work into your glutes, keeping the hips just behind the heels. Or again, for more work in that standing leg, you can come all the way through to a knee lift. As you're lifting your right knee, try and get your left knee just slightly soft. It's tempting to lock out that right leg, but that means the muscles that stabilise the knee and the hips don't have to work as hard. So the more we keep that left knee soft, the more work we encourage stabilising the hips and using our core. Breathing in, out to lift, and twice more. Big reach back, so you squeeze into the back of the arm to get into the triceps, and then holding. So from here we're going to come over to the left, bring weight back down, step across, turn your left foot to a diagonal and pull the left knee open so it opens the hip, and then when you're ready, reach into the knee and rising. So you're trying to square your shoulders and your chest to the left hand side and then all the way back to the front. As you're turning to the left, you're still trying to keep your right hip facing forwards. We don't want our hip to roll in. And even if it means you're not going as far, don't go as far. Think about keeping the hips square to the front. Knee just stopping over the heel. Working harder. Bring out the arm. Breathing into lower. Out and squeeze the shoulder blade. And again, think about the front of your shoulder opening. Keeping the elbows soft so no tension comes into the elbow joint. Still letting the body turn. Breathing in deep. Breathe out with brace. So you're breathing out, bracing your core here to come back up nice and strong. And once more. And then bringing the weight down and stepping in. Okay, when you're ready, weight back in line with the breastbone, a lunge, a twist and a press. So your right leg strides back, turn, push the diagonal, pull into your chest and step forward. Left leg, step, square the hips, turn, push forward, square to the front and step in. And again, if you don't want to step too far, that's fine. Same thing, a small step, tuck in the bottom. And when you press the weight forward, aim to keep it in line with your breastbone so it's not coming high. Shoulder blades, keep drawing them down as you push the weight to the diagonal. And if you want to make it all one move, you can step and pull back in. Weight level with the breastbone the whole time. Check the front knee again, especially when you're twisting, it stays over the heel. That way you can feel that your heel's anchored to the ground. So when you step forward, you can really focus on pushing the heel down into the floor. And then see if you can get a little bit taller as you come in. Getting the crown of the head a little closer towards the ceiling. Breathing in, out to come forwards, in through the nose, out through the mouth. One more each side. Stay in centre. Bring the weight down to your thighs. So working with the right leg, we're going to hinge forward, chest open, tap out, in and rise. So we tip, tap, back to the thigh and rise. So you're sliding your weight towards the top of your knees. But you're doing that by pulling your hips back behind your heels. Not letting the back round. So you want to keep the front of the chest nice and lifted. When you bring your right foot in, keep it as light as possible. And really focus on pushing off your left heel. 3 lifts. 3, stay. 2, 1 more. Rise, and again. 3 more sets of 3. Chin slightly nodded in, belly button drawn to spine. So as you move your right leg, very focused on keeping the hips and the trunk of the body still. So really starting to work on the outer thigh for the movement and this hip for your stability. Keeping the shoulders down as the arms come forward and then hold. Both feet on the hips, take the weight up to your collarbones. Now slightly different move, elbows in, come down to the base of the neck, circle the arms around to the right and then come to the left and the base of your neck. Again, over to the right, try and keep the elbows in and still. So you're extending, letting the elbows bend, breathing out as you push up and breathing in as you lower down. It's like a little halo, but trying to keep the elbows squeezed towards each other. And your weight drifts down to one shoulder, across the back of the other shoulder. Little tuck of your tailbone, and twice more here. So that works a little bit more on shoulder stability, as well as working in to our triceps. And then bring your weight back down. Release the shoulders. Ready for the other side? So when you're ready, back to your set position. Shoulders back, and then from here, sit back into the hips. Double arm float and push the hips forward. Tip, lift. And when you step out with the leg, just tap your left foot to your big toe as light as possible. And then try and keep that left foot light as you step back in. And again, more push out of the right heel. The lighter we keep the left foot, the more the right buttock works as you push your hips back under your shoulders. Now collarbones still nice and open. And still feeling that connection of your shoulder blades drawing back down to the ribs. 3 this time, or stay with singles. Trying to keep the upper body still. Push out the heel. Make sure the bottom goes back behind the heels. Drawing the belly button towards the spine. And then foot light and push up. Again, 3, 2, 1, rise. One last time. Ab brace the whole time. And then stepping back in to centre. Bring the weight back up, this time taking the circles over to the left. So elbows in, come down, start to reach over to the left, keeping the elbows in, and then reach down to the right. So you're just trying to draw a little bit of circle with the weight, but try not to let your body circle. So even if the circles are small, keep them small. Focus on the trunk of the body, squeezing the bottom. Drawing the belly button in towards the spine. Trying to keep the elbows as still as possible. They will want to move a little, which is fine. And again, to the shoulder. Cross the opposite shoulder. 2 more circles here. Breathing in. Out on the extension. Breath in. Out on the extension. And bring your weight down. Let's come to windmills next. Weight in your left hand. Take your feet wide. So your right foot stays forward, left foot slight diagonal. Squeeze your left buttock to square the hips. Push them over to the right. And now you can keep your left shoulder really relaxed. Press through both heels and squeeze all the way up to your thighs. So you're really engaging your legs. Then give the bottom a little squeeze. So as you're moving the upper body, you're not letting the legs sway. That way all the work stays here, the stretch and the lift from the waist. Breathe in slowly, breathing out to rise. And try and keep that left shoulder as relaxed as possible when you rise. Physically feel your ribs pulling down towards your right hip. So feel when the muscles stretch and using those muscles to pull back. Trying to fully straighten both arms. And your last 2 here. Slow breath. Strong breath, in through the nose, and then out through the mouth, and hold. Changing sides. To your right hand, left foot faces forward, right foot to the diagonal, or out to the side if your hips allow. Main thing is again, the hips are facing forwards. Shoulder relaxed, hips to the left, and then breathe. Feel the ribs lifting away from the hips. But the most important thing is noticing how still your hips stay. How relaxed you can keep your right shoulder. And then how much length you can also keep in the spine as you tip to the side. So you're not letting your ribs collapse down towards your hips. And trying to keep that length as you tip. That way more stretch here. Maybe finding some stretch in the inner thigh as well as we tip. Lengthening the arms, trying to reach a little higher towards the ceiling as your weight sinks towards your knee or your shin. Breathe in through the nose, breathe out with the left. Maybe push a little further. And your last 2 again. Slow and then strong. One last time. We're going to stay with the waist, but in a box position. So when you're ready, we're going to come down onto the floor in a box position with the weight in the right hand. We're going to add in some rotation. And to also encourage more stabilisation with our obliques, we're going to add in the legs. So weights in your right hand, and we want stability through that left shoulder. So I want the hand right underneath the shoulder, and sometimes we end up just sitting back into the heels. So push your head forward so your back's nice and long and flat. Weight in the right hand, your palm faces upwards as your arm reaches through, and then you're opening just above shoulder level. So sometimes when we're just working the back of the shoulder, we try and keep the shoulders square to the floor. Because we're working for rotation, we try and turn our chest towards the back of the room and then towards the front of the room. Then for stabilisation with the obliques, you can just slide your left foot, straighten the left leg and just tap in really lightly onto your big toe. Start to breathe out as soon as you start to lift, and then a slow breath in to the centre. Out through the mouth, in through the nose. Bracing with each lift. You can do it without the weight, but try and keep that head pushed forward so your head's over your hand. 2 to go. Your last one. And then rest. Put the weight down. Just take the knees wide, bringing the toes together. Sit back, release your wrists. And then we do the same again with the left arm. So as we start to rotate the upper body, hips stay nice and level. So we need to check we're in neutral first with a lengthened spine and not the back rounding. So pushing the crown of the head forwards. Breathe in, thread under, and breathe out to pull back. Now don't drop down to the floor. You're keeping a soft bend in your left elbow and keeping the shoulder over the right elbow, sorry. And then as you turn, you try not to let the shoulder drop down to the floor. Happy? Your hips are staying still. Slide your right leg back. Try to tap really lightly on your toe. Starting to breathe out as you lift and breathing into the centre. Out through the mouth, in through the nose. Core bracing on that extension. And your last 3 here. Let the head turn. So you're getting rotation through the neck, through the spine. More work then into your obliques. And then hold in here. Just sit back again to your heels. You can bring the elbows down and release your wrists. Right, we're going to come on to the back next. So when you're ready, let's go into our bridges. Double legs to begin with. Option to go to single legs once we've got the moves. So all we're going to do is keep our weight just in front of our chest to begin with, and our elbows in. Feet nice and close with your chin nodded in. So you want to roll the shoulders back so you can physically feel the shoulders are down on the ground. That's part of your base to push up from. When you're ready, roll up through the spine, extend the arms and take a pull over. Then lower the weight back towards your breastbone as you roll down through the spine. Now when we come into a hip bridge, naturally sometimes we're quite strong through the outer thighs. You might find the knees want to push outwards as you lift. So just take a little glance at your knees, check they're in line with your hips, and try and keep that alignment between your knees and your hips as you rise and as you come down. We're going to add in a leg extension on each side. If the leg extension is too much, just a heel raise. If it feels okay, heel raise on the above hip. Then a leg extension with the pull over. Place the toe down, then the heel, change sides. So we lift, extend to centre, toe, heel, and then roll down. And again, if you don't want to go with the knee lift, just squeeze the bottom and add a heel raise. Trying to keep the hips level as the arms reach back. And then also think about your ribs. Just slightly drawing the front of the ribs down towards the hips. So we're not letting the ribs flare, especially when the arms go back. Now we've got a nice strong connection into our upper abdominals. Now if you're lifting the heel or the hips, when you lift your right heel or your knee, you're going to give your left button extra strong squeeze. So heel first, squeeze your right buttock, extend, reset, and release. 2 more sets. So again, strong squeeze through the bottom, and still pressing down quite strongly with the back of both of your shoulders. That definitely helps with the balance as we come into that single leg hip bridge. Your last one. Slow and controlled. That's all we need this morning. Slow and steady wins. And then release all the way down. Take your weight now in your right hand. Lift your left heel So you're going to push through your right heel, driving the right arm up, soft elbow. Now keep all the weight in your right and left foot light, lower halfway down with a tricep press, and then driving the hips back up with your tricep press. So the weight comes to the top of the shoulder, feeling strong. The knee can be above your hip, so you're definitely not able to press out with your left. Drive the right heel down, but drive both shoulders down into the floor as you push it with the hips. And then so you can squeeze the bottom a little bit more to get the hips high. 4 to go. 3. Breathe out. 2. Your last one. Come all the way down with the hips. Change sides. So weight in your left hand. Anchor the left shoulder, tuck in the chin. Either just the right heel lifting so there's no weight on your right foot. Rise to the top. Hips up, so hip, knee, shoulder in line. About halfway down. And then up. So you can imagine that your right foot's just resting lightly onto an eggshell. Or again, if you're happy with that knee lifted, notice how the knee stays at 90 degrees. So your shin the whole time stays parallel to the ceiling. Keep driving down with the shoulder and don't rest at the bottom. Just halfway, or just a little hover. The more we squeeze the bottom, the more we open the hips. The more we open and release the hips, the more we can squeeze the bottom. It's just a win-win really. And again, last 2 to the top. Your last one. And then rest everything back and down. Coming to side lying. So inside lying, little sequence with the legs. We'll do all the moves and we'll bring them all together. So let the head rest. Your shoulder in set position, hand light on the floor or on the hip. To begin with, just try and make your top leg a little bit longer and squeeze the front of the thighs. Nice, easy, single leg lift. We're just going to do 8. Breathing out with the lift, breathing on the way down. Keep squeezing the front of your thighs. Keep making that top leg longer as it lifts. Now hold at the top, heel back to your bottom for 8. And extend. Now try not to let the knee move forwards. If you glance at the knee, that should stay directly in line with the hip. Little tuck of the tailbone, so again it helps keep the hips in place. Breathing in as the heel comes back, breathing out to extend. That works our hamstrings, our outer thighs as we're holding the leg up. And then your last move, a leg arch. So we're going to roll the foot forward and pull back to shoulder level. Now it might be a small arch, which is fine, but we do want a straight leg. So squeeze down the front of the thigh and feel the movement coming from the hip joint. Hand, if it's on the floor, try and keep it as light as possible, especially when you pull the leg back. Once more, 4 of each. 4 side leg raises. Breathe out with each lift. In on the way down, holding at the top, keep your part of the leg still, taking the heel back and extending into the toes. Little breath in as the heel draws back, squeeze the front of the thigh to extend. Now keep that straight leg and arch for 4, pull back, 3. Now just try and be aware the hips themselves aren't rolling backwards and forwards. 1 of each, down, heel back, and an arch. And again, lower the leg with control. Pull the heel right back towards the bottom, straight leg for the arch. 4 more sets. When you lift the leg, not too much higher than the shoulder, and you find it hard to lift the leg all the way up, just in line with the hip is perfectly fine. Last 2. Last 2, definitely always the hardest 2. Pull and arch. Relax and rub. Right, let's do that same sequence on the opposite side when you're ready. When you're on time, taking that little turn over. And again, as much as we kind of move in all these different directions, we want to be really focused on the pelvis itself. So before we even think about moving, we want to be set in neutral. So chin in, eyes forward, hip away from rib. You can also give that tailbone a little tuck and a slight lift of your pubic bone. When you're ready, leg longer. Just lifting and lowering. Breathing out with each lift and a soft breath in as you ease down. It's tempting to just let gravity draw the leg back down. But I want you to lower it with control because that makes the muscles work harder under tension. Holding your neck from the top. Keep the upper part of the leg still. Try and reach your heel right back towards your bottom. Keep kicking low. Breathing in as you reach back and breathing out to extend. Now just notice when your leg moves back, your ribs don't push forward. So we're not altering the position of the spine. Your last one, 8 arches. Straight leg. And also squeeze the underneath leg straight. It will make it a little bit harder to balance. So that's where we'll use our core a little bit more to stabilise. Or we'll wobble a little. And try and get your top shoulder relaxed. So you're not trying to stabilise with the shoulder. Once more, 4 of each. Breathe into lower, out on the lift. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And just take the leg as high as you can without your hips sliding back up towards your rib. Heel back for 4. Upper leg staying still. Move from the knee. Breathe in as you lower. Breathe out to extend. 4 arches, moving forwards. 4 and pull back. Almost rolling your big toe down towards the ground. And that's going to bring a little bit more work into the glutes. 1 of each. So down, take it back, and then arch forwards. The leg closes. We lift, pull back, and arch forwards. Working all the muscles around your hips. But still trying to think about using our core, that trunk stability at the same time. Last 2. Hamstring squeeze. Nice big arch. And your last one. That leg's getting a little bit heavy now. And then pull back, squeezing the bottom and release. And again, just give that hip a little rub. Roll onto your back when you're ready. Bringing both knees in to release your lower back and to release your glutes. And we're going to give everything a nice release. So when you're ready, keep a hold of your right knee. Take your left leg out along the ground, let it rest. Keep the knee bent, take the back of your thigh, and then try and straighten the leg. It will not straighten as if you're going to straighten the leg, just so you feel the stretch in the upper part of the hamstrings towards the bottom. That's why we keep the knee bent. It doesn't go to the back of the knee, which tends to be tightest. We keep that knee bent and then try and straighten the leg back. Pressing the bottom gently down towards the floor. So again, you're trying to almost pull your bottom away from the back of your knee. Nice big breath in. Breathe out, try and straighten the leg a tiny bit further if you can. And then change legs. Bring both knees in. So hug the left knee in, right leg comes out, it rests. And then keeping that knee in so it doesn't pull away from your body, take the leg to where you can, just so you feel the stretch in the back of the leg. Try and push the bottom down to the floor. Breathe in nice and deep. When it starts to ease, that's when you want to breathe out as you try and go further into your stretch. And then bring both knees back in towards the chest. Hands onto the knees, chin tucks in, and then roll yourself forwards. Oh. Little stretch for the hips. Taking your right leg forward, and then just popping your left foot when you're ready over your right. Making sure the left hip doesn't lift, so just pin that hip down. Wrap your right arm around your knee and bring your left hand behind your bottom. Push your hand into the floor to make yourself taller, you're really pulling up through the crown of the head to lengthen your spine. And then with that little bit more space between each vertebrae, you can maybe turn a little bit more to the right, left-hand side. Almost drawing your left shoulder blade back and gently pushing your right shoulder forwards. Just to feel the stretch, not to the point of pain. The pain's done for today. Ease back into centre and change legs. So your left leg forward, right over left, pin your bottom down, wrap the arm, hand really close to your bottom, push the hand into the floor to make yourself taller, and then use that length into the spine to allow you to rotate further. And whenever you can, breathe at the length of your spine, try and make it longer, and then use the out breath, maybe finding a little bit more rotation. And then releasing the legs. Now if you can from here, cross your knees. If you can't, keep the feet wide. In seated position, we're going to focus again on hip stability, so anchoring the hips, taking your right arm to the back of your left knee, and again just gently press the hand into the knee, and so you can then draw that left shoulder back again a little further. Your knees are here, arms to the outside of the thigh, keeping the hips anchored to the ground, and then see if you can then turn your head slightly, looking back over your shoulder. And then ease back into centre, change arms. So the hips are key, anchor the hips, legs crossed or knees out bent, press against the outside of the knee or the thigh, grow tall, and then revolve looking back over your shoulder. Breathe in, breathe out, twist, and then release, coming back into the centre. Coming onto your hands and knees when you're ready. So bring the hands in underneath the shoulders, knees in underneath the hips. Nice long flat back to begin with, pushing your head forward at the hands, the shoulders are over the heels of your hands, and then start to roll through the spine. Rolling through lower back into the mid back, and then tucking in the chin as you look to your thighs. And then lowering your tummy, letting your eye gaze come forward, letting your chest, your heart lift. And again, tucking under, rolling through each vertebrae, and then looking towards your thighs. Let the crown of the head hang. One more time each way. Lifting your heart, bringing the chin, rolling through each vertebrae, nice and controlled. Then letting your tummy come all the way down to the floor, last time. And then from centre, back in your neutral position, toes under. If you can, push back with the heels, back into the heels. Walk the hands back or the feet forward. And once you get your heels down, try and relax your neck, in your spine, and your knees. So bending the knees, letting the weight sit back into the heels. Tucking in the chin, allowing the neck to lengthen. Whenever you're ready, restacking. So either walking the hands up the shins, or just letting the hands hang towards the ground. Each vertebrae comes up one on the next. Legs is turned to down dog. Roll the shoulders back, tuck the bottom, and just take that little twist from side to side. Sit into your heels. Squeeze the bottom so the hips stay still. And again, just trying to encourage a little bit more turn through the shoulders, through the ribs. Once more each way. And from centre, shrug it away. Pull up and let them go. And again, that lift and that release. And welcome to another week. Well done. Good work, everybody. And another Monday morning, tick